How long were you at Discord?
8 years.
And what was your role technically?
I was the head of product early on, and built Nitro and built the business model.
Can we talk about marketing strategies of Discord?
Early on, when we built Discord, and this was before my time. This is me paraphrasing, right? But like before my time, like the team really honed in on specific use cases for like, hey, we want to power an MMO guild's raids. We want to make sure that like, hey, like people can use Discord for say Overwatch, for say League of Legends, for Dota, for WoW, etc. And so the team actually went game type by game type, went into the Reddits and the forums of these guilds that people are using, and basically asked people very manually, hey, come check out this app. What do you think? What do you like? Most notably, Final Fantasy was one of the first games that Discord was built for, in part because the founders were playing it. And so a lot of kind of like early marketing was actually just like building a very tailored solution to a problem, going into these Reddits and forums and convincing guild leaders to actually go adopt it and join it.
Did they make it game specific, or that was just the marketing itself?
That was the marketing itself. So our philosophy was to always build primitives that solved specific needs for specific games, but could be used for other things. So we never made it so specific that we would shoehorn ourselves and it's like, okay, it works here, but not here, not there. So whatever we built, whenever we build it in code, works for all sorts of games. That's the general functionality. But then when we went and marketed it, it was very tailored. I remember when we built, there's some like functionality where you need to be able to set priority speakers in chat and voice chat. It's very, very helpful if you're playing a game like EVE Online, where you have a couple of commanders and everybody else just kind of needs to be talking to each other, but not as important as hearing the shout outs from commanders. Like that is a product feature, very, very detailed, so that one person can talk over others. The generic functionality exists. You can use it for anything, but we went in and very targeted, being like, hey, this is for you guys. The point I was trying to make is like, when you're building these things, you can build with a general purpose functionality in mind and still market it in a very targeted way, to your point about marketing. And then the other thing to think about, especially for Discord, especially early Discord, like the way that Discord's ultimately flywheel worked is that when you think about a group of humans, there's usually one person who's the ringleader. We call him the supernode. That's the person that in your friends group will be the one sending messages, setting up events, inviting people to trips, like organizing shit. Like in the gaming world, it's like that's the person who organizes the raids. It's the person who's like, we're hanging out here. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. For when you're building a community product like Discord and a group chat product like Discord, that's the person you need to convince. And that's the person you need to market to. And so their needs and the tools that they need to do the thing that they're already doing elsewhere, they need to know that they can do on this new tool. Most of those features are never used by any of their members. They're like, this is fucking complicated. But that person that's going to bring all the entire group over needs to feel like it's very much tailored for them. In many ways, you guys at WAP actually have understood this intuitively because for you, that's the creator, right? And you're building the tools for the creator. They bring their audience. They bring their customers. Their customers aren't going to use any of the tools you build for the creator. Not any, but like most, right? To them, it's just like they get the value that the creator provides, but the creator gets their control center.
It's very interesting. How did you identify the supernodes? Like, I guess like the raid leaders, anything like that?
Early on, we had a lot of connections. We went to forums. We went to subreddits. We went to gaming conventions. We went to PAX, for example. We would go to streamers. And they usually either would have exposure to these raid leaders or they had a following where these raid leaders hung out. And so it depends. Like depending on what approach, what channel you use, you kind of have to have a different, I would say, you have to have a different way of approaching them. And in many ways, like as your company scales, as your business scales, you have to evolve it, right? Like what worked when Discord was 100,000 users, did not work when Discord had 10 million users, did not work when Discord had 200 million users, right? And so the strategies you use have to change and evolve, and it's normal. It's okay. Later on, maybe fast forward like a year post launch of Discord, like one of the things that really unlocked us when we got to like the more than 5 million user mark. When I say users, I usually mean monthly actives. Is for us to use Twitch streamers and YouTube streamers as our awareness driver, and then making sure that all of the users that join through those through that top of funnel actually got exposed to at least creating a server. Most users never touched their server again, but because of we did that flow, we captured those that would. So we were able to kind of like passively, organically capture supernodes and have them set it up by basically having them join a streamer server first, seeing, oh, I could have this for myself, and then having an easy button to create their own server. And it was kind of like a giant sieve to basically like find and weed out all of the people that would be good at creating a Discord server for their friends.
Okay, interesting. So early days, you were just like building like a TeamSpeak competitor, basically, like a simpler, not as developer-minded software.
Yeah, a much better TeamSpeak
complicated.
event.
You got to have
TeamSpeak
a server.
and Trello.
Yeah. And so you guys basically wanted to disrupt that. You saw the need for it. You went game specific. You said Final Fantasy was the first game.
For marketing wise, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. And then you just went to Reddit forums. You try to find the guild leaders, the people who were organizing the lands, everything like that.
Yep.
And then once you get to a little more scale, you go after Twitch streamers. Was the strategy to just like pay them a little bit of money to then just make a server and then promote it on their Twitch?
So I credit this strategy to Eros, who ran our early marketing. But it was a little more nuanced than that. Yes, we did have some Twitch streamers who we partnered with and made it a paid partnership. Many of them we did not. So many of them were not necessarily the top 20, but they are maybe the bottom half. And we called it the partnership program. And we basically gave them some help setting up their server, some extra features that weren't available to normal Discord users. And in return for us doing that for them, they got to promote Discord. They got some swag. They got to wear the Discord partner hoodie in their Twitch streams, and they would link to their Discord server, so that people that watch the Twitch streams can go to the Discord server and hang out with them together as they're streaming. For the larger Discord streamers, we would have some amount of like paid agreements with them. I can't disclose how the terms worked or whatnot. I just don't remember. This was forever now. But basically with them, we had a much more clearer business relationship, but the idea was the same. The idea was you have an audience of people who need this tool, and the best way to sell Discord is to actually just show how it could be by just getting you into your favorite streamer server.
So you just basically, for the smaller people, you just made them like a Discord partner, basically. You gave them some merch to wear during the stream, and then told them, say, for this, just make a Discord server and refer people that way. Yeah. Did you ever reward people like based off how many users they got, or?
We certainly gave more merch to people who like were quote unquote more successful. But we didn't necessarily we didn't do like, oh, you get a bounty for each user that you drive, as far as I remember. We did kind of like tier our marketing to where like beyond just like the super, like the very top, we would pay them. The middle, we made them into partners. The smaller and broader you got, we targeted actually a lot of colleges, universities, and schools with our what's called Hype Squad program. This is all early days. All these things evolved later. But the Hype Squad program is really cool as well. Like we basically we had people apply on our website to become part of Hype Squad. What you did, you got a little bit of a budget and you got some swag to give out to your friends. All you had to do is host a LAN party. At your university or whatever. Or we called it an event. It didn't have to be a LAN party, but most of them did because they're gamers, right? And so people would be like doing a Discord sponsored thing in their in the college dorm, and they're like running this like intramural, I don't know, League of Legends tournament or something, right? Whatever it was. But that created a lot of grassroots kind of like beliefs and goodwill among our target audience, which was our high school and college, right? People who play games in high school and college, right? And so we then combine that with our team doing events at various conventions. Think of like PAX East, PAX West, TwitchCon, Comic-Con, etc. We would have our team go to those, have booths there, and we would go invite all the local hype squatters to come hang out with us. We would do promos with them. We would do like posts on social, etc. And that kind of like created this like feedback loop of like, oh, you can be part of this exclusive club. You get to organize and be close to a brand you really care about, and you'll get in with like cool stuff.
Was there like a budget they got? Like, so they'd go on your website, they'd apply to be part of this hype squad thing, and if they got approved, you would give them a budget to basically throw a LAN party or like a local tournament or something.
If I remember correctly, yeah. I don't remember the details, but it was some version of that, yes.
So you're just
at the very minimum, we sent them a swag box.
Yeah, that is such like a gritty tactic, just to literally sponsor local LAN parties. But I think that's a tactic only, like you guys were so dialed in on your target demographic of gamers.
Yes.
And so I'm very curious how the product evolved around that. What was the very first thing that was built? Was it just voice chat, like group voice chats?
So Discord started as text and voice. The voice tech we took from the previous iteration of the company, which was a mobile game. We built, the game was called Fates Forever. It was a mobile game that we built, that was a mobile MOBA. Part of the mobile MOBA had to have good voice chat when you're playing together with other people. So that was the voice tech behind it. And then Stan was one of the lead engineers on the MOBA, who then became the co-founder. He had the idea because he had been working on the side on a project called Guild Work, which was effectively like a better way to run like a guild forum. He had the idea of combining that voice chat with text chat and like with an app called FlowDoc that was before Slack, to basically come up with what we know now as Discord. And so there was always a component of text chat. There was always a component of voice chat because you need text to organize, hey, when are we hanging out? And you need voice chat to be able to actually play the game together. We call it kind of like the before, during, and after playing games. Before playing the game, you hang out on text chat and you organize it. During, you're actually just like talking to each other and you're not in Discord, you're in the game. And then after, you talk about what happened with the game.
I think the biggest differentiator between you guys and TeamSpeak was that you were free right out the gate as well.
Yeah, I would say what we heard from our users wasn't just the free aspect. It was actually just the fact that you needed one click to just get it up and running.
Yeah, not some
like,
copy-paste IP.
It was, it was our invite link system. I spent a lot of time working on that, and like we spent a lot of time like perfecting it. The idea that I could create, I'm in a Discord server, I can click on my voice channel, create a link, send it to you. You click one link and you type in one word, which is your username, and you're straight up in voice chat with me. And it works, just straight up.
It's super like efficient, so it's probably a great growth loop. But I'm very curious,
It was important because if you're in between matches and you're trying to play with somebody and your match is like counting down to like 40 seconds left to the next game, you're on the clock to get somebody in your voice chat with you.
And it's amazing. Like if I join a Counter-Strike match with 5 random people, we put a
send
Discord
each
link
other,
immediately in the chat, just copy paste, done.
Yep.
No, like
that's right.
It's so simple. It's probably the best product I've ever used. Literally my favorite product. So I'm curious then, I have a ton of questions around like little products that you guys have created. So like on that note, the invitation competitions, or like you guys figured out, like the beauty of Discord is like you can gate access to different channels through different
the roles and permissions system.
Permissions, like that is absolutely genius for like actually running these businesses and really engaged communities. But like where did the idea for like invite competitions, like you have to invite 30 people to then get this role, come from?
That was actually a community thing. That was actually something that happens organically. So interesting thing about Discord, and something that I don't think many people realize, like a lot of things that happen on Discord weren't created by us. They are behaviors that happen organically. Sometimes we see a behavior and we're like, this should be a thing, and we make it easier to do. One great example of that is Go Live or screen sharing. We saw people hacking that together where somebody would be on Discord voice chat and also streaming on Twitch and tell their friends, go to Twitch, mute, go to voice chat, and I'll talk to you while I'm playing the game. And like we were like, this is moronic. Like, why would you do that? Twitch chat is delayed. Discord is real time. Like, we can make this better. Other things like invite competitions, or a lot of what you see in community servers with like rules or engagement type competitions. Those are things that Discord moderators and admins came up with organically on their own. It's them doing that for their communities, and we were just observing it, and we're like, this is cool, but you guys should totally do that. And we later on spent some time like kind of teaching other moderators how these things work, and etc. But ultimately, like, that's something that the community drove.
How the hell did you guys build the live streaming feature? Because at the time, like, it was even hard for me to get like a Twitch stream to have like a high bit rate and to like be clear.
That was yeah.
And it doesn't even affect my frame rate. Go live,
yeah. That was a really cool project. It was, as I mentioned earlier, like, it was a behavior we saw. Obviously, people were doing it. People would get on Skype to screen share their screen to their friends because Skype supported screen sharing. And we didn't. And initially, we built it, the first version of it, we built as just like regular screen sharing. And we didn't actually release it because we just wanted to test it. And we realized that like the screen sharing that we had built wasn't quite good enough to make it feel like, oh, this is like 10x than what you can do on Skype. And it's something that we felt was very, very important for just like bringing people together that weren't just playing games together. So the purpose of Go Live is actually such that you, as a friend of somebody who's playing a game right now, can just hop in and talk to them while they're playing a game. It's kind of like sitting down on a couch with a friend. They're playing some whatever console game, and you're just watching them play and talking about the game. That was the actual human behavior. It took us a long time to get it to be really good, really performant. Our engineering team like took a long time, but like really kicked ass on like making the streaming aspect of it. You could stream in source resolution on like a really not great PC without dropping frame rate. Like, that was a really cool achievement, and it felt really great because it was like one click, stream to my friends. Everybody can just like join and watch. And when we released this like second version, it was no longer called Screen Share, it was called Go Live now. It suddenly like started just like, we started seeing more and more people just randomly started streaming to each other. Even when they're all playing the game together, they will stream to each other, so that somebody can run my friend's screen on one monitor and like play the game on the other monitor and just like talk to each other about what they're seeing in the game. It was a really cool kind of like behavior. And it was one of the few features where we just saw consistently more and more and more people every week just keep using it, because it was such an addictive behavior that like you would use it 1 week and you're like, oh yeah, I want to do this again. This was so fun.
There's like no latency. Like, it was like, and it's so crisp.
That's right.
Now.
It's real-time Twitch.
Is it not expensive to do that? Like, is that not expensive to let people run? Like,
it is expensive.
Yeah.
It was by far our most expensive infrastructure project. It wasn't, obviously at that point we had already built Nitro, so we were able to burden the cost without needing to raise crazy money, which was good. But it took a lot of time and effort also to make it very efficient on the infrastructure side and make it cost efficient. We later on signed deals with Google, who was our main cloud provider, to help make that even cheaper for us, because we're able to optimize and work closely with their team together. But yeah, it's not a cheap feature to run, which is why also if you want to stream in more than 720p, like the cost of such a feature goes up with resolution, right? Like the more frames or the larger the frames, the more expensive it is to Discord, because everything runs through Discord servers. And so that's why when we released it, we were like, well, it's perfectly fair to ask people to be paid Nitro subscribers if they want to stream in super high resolution and high frame rates, because that's very expensive for us. And so it was actually, funny enough, also one of the top features that made people want to get Nitro, because it was so valuable to them. Like, yeah, like watching my friends stream in real time at their native resolution is really cool.
Nitro is now your business model. What is Nitro technically? Like, how do you answer that question?
What is Nitro? Nitro is the premium membership of Discord. And what that really means is that Nitro is the the set of features, the set of functionality you get if you want to A, support Discord, but B, if you want to show off to your friends. At the end of the day, what Nitro really hooks into is the fact that you hang out on Discord all day, every day. You don't want to look like everybody else. It's a very normal human thing. If you spend a lot of time somewhere, you don't really want to blend in.
Mm-hmm.
And Nitro allows you to not blend in. Nitro, both by allowing you, say, for example, to use emoji from other places you hang out with, or allows you to bling out your profile. It allows you to actually buy decorations cheaper. It allows you to have access to high-quality streaming. All of the features in Nitro are tied to you hanging out with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
If you're using Discord just for yourself, there's almost nothing there's almost nothing in Nitro that is worth buying, minus the upload limit, which again, it's just very expensive to Discord for people to upload gigabytes of files. So that one, yeah, you can use Discord without any friends and still get value from Nitro. Most of the features, the actual value is you and your friends. And it's actually the thing that you pay for many people is not just for myself. It's not just for FOMOing towards myself, but it's also for my friends. Like, actually, Go Live is a great example. Like, me buying Nitro so that my stream is high resolution is something that my friend appreciates more. I know that my friend appreciates more.
It's a very non-obvious business model. It's like boosting servers. It's like you spend money to be selfless when most products you're spending
The
money
original
to
version of boosting was called Server Nitro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that the segue?
That was one of the things we did after Go Live that really, I think, clicked in terms of when we're building out our business model, where basically the basic idea is actually pretty straightforward. Like, Discord server is a place for you and your friends to hang out, and it's kind of like a treehouse. If every treehouse looks the same, it's boring. We want to bling it out. We want to make it our own space, and we can all chip in together to make it our own space. That's why server boosting allows you to deck out your server with features, with decoration, with various, like, say, banners or intro screens, splash screens, whatever it is. But ultimately, we all chip in together to do this thing. And that behavior of, like, hey, we're spending, 12 hours a day in the server, hanging out all the time, we want to make it our own. It's also a very natural human thing. And that is something that people really want to do. And that's actually something that made Nitro really worthwhile for a lot of people. Where, like, I wouldn't get Nitro for just myself necessarily. It was $10 a month. But if I can get Nitro and for those $10 a month, I not only get it for myself, but also for this place that I hang out in a lot for everyone else to enjoy, that is worth it.
It's so interesting how you guys, like, settled on that business model, because I always wondered how it was free. Like, for the first few years when I was using it, I think I was using it the second year it came out, and I was just so confused. How is this free? And you guys have taken
everybody else. Fun fact: when I had just joined Discord maybe like 3 months prior, and then I was leading the Nitro project when we first built Nitro. And when we first came up with Nitro, and the reason why it exists wasn't to make money. It was not going to be our business model. That's not what we're pitching to investors. It was not what we're going to do. We built Nitro to basically expose very simple features for users and to primarily just give them a way to pay us money, so that we can tell on all our socials and all of our like partners being like, hey, it's not free. Here's how we make money. Like, here's a way you can support us. Here's a buy button. The purpose of Nitro, the very first version, was just a buy button.
Just a donation almost.
We didn't want to make it a donation because we were a business, because it's kind of weird to ask for donations for something that's a for-profit business. So we didn't want to give something back for people who are paying for it. But the purpose was to answer your question. It's like, how is this free? It's not. You can pay for it if you want to. But it wasn't our primary business model for years until afterwards.
What were you pitching investors on the business model? Like, how were you?
The original Discord's original business model, and this is public knowledge, was going to be a game store.
Like a Steam?
We were going to have the largest group of gamers on the planet using our product, and we were going to sell them games just like Steam, get a cut on the distribution just like Steam. We built that. We built that a couple of years after we built Nitro, and we quickly realized that it wasn't a 10x problem that we're solving. Like Discord as an ethos, as a company, as a product, was really good at solving few things really, really well. And we couldn't build a 10 times better Steam. It was better in many ways. A lot of our users who love the store would tell us it's better, but it wasn't something that I would want to use Discord for instead of Steam. A lot of people who could buy the same game on Steam and on Discord chose to buy it on Steam because that's where the library still was. There was also at the same time was Epic, who had just launched their Epic Game Store, and the only reason people bought games on Epic is A, if they were given away for free, or B, if they were only purchasable on Epic. And so, but for anybody who could buy a game on Steam, they'd rather buy it on Steam. People actually want one place to have their games library. People don't want to have many different apps that have different games. Like, it's a lot of overhead. Like, imagine your phone having 10 app stores and you have to open each app store individually in order to figure out which one was this app in. Terrible experience. And so we quickly realized that we launched a game store. We launched it with a subscription. So we, as part of the game store, we got a collection, a bundle of games that we would put into a higher priced Nitro. Together with that, we increased the price of Nitro, but also included a bunch of games for free in it. This was before Xbox and all of that. We quickly realized that, like, yeah, we could keep pushing on that, but it wasn't going to be the runaway success that we had wanted for the business model. And it just wasn't something that our users really wanted. And we kind of like went back to our roots, went back to being like, okay, let's solve our users' problems as the best we can. And we chose to shut it down. We chose to sunset the game over time, the game store over time. Obviously, we couldn't do it immediately. It took us more than a year to do that, but we basically pivoted the business model to just focus on Nitro, and we realized, hey, why don't we just let people have more ways to have a better experience on Discord, and that we're not like required to use Discord. You could still use Discord for free, and you could still talk to your friends on Discord for free, but if you wanted additional cool blingy features, you can get Nitro. And we just double down. We built server Nitro, which is now called boosting. We built a lot of features around the profile. We built you can set an animated banner on your profile. You can have a decoration on your profile. You can have custom statuses on your profile. We made a lot of different things Nitro that all fed into this model of like, hey, if you're using Discord 12 to 18 hours a day, you want to have all the best functionality of Discord, and that's what Nitro is.
It's like all the stylization and the status within a server that you spend a lot of time into.
That's
so
right.
You put emphasis on that.
That's right.
How much time were you guys spending like on that store builder? Because your thought process was like, not store builder, but your store.
The game store?
Game store. Like
the game store was a more than 1 year project for most of the company.
To build it out before
Yes.
even launching it.
Yes.
So the thought process was just make the best voice comms for gamers platform, get all the gamers on the platform, and they'll naturally want to just buy their games on the platform too.
Right. That's right.
But the problem was...
It sounds great in a PowerPoint slide.
Yeah.
It sounds great in theory, but in practice, the act of hanging out with your friends is actually quite separate from where you launch the games and play the games from. Unless these games are built in to the act of hanging out with your friends. And so we're actually now releasing, well, I'm no longer at Discord, full disclosure, but like we're now rolling out the ability to build games inside Discord, inside a voice channel. And we're now actually releasing, or already have released the SDKs for it, where people have started building games inside Discord. And there it actually makes sense. Because since the game can only be run inside a voice channel while you hang out with your friends, yeah, it makes sense to have a game store, to have a launcher there, and to have you and your friends hop on a voice chat together first, and then launch the game together.
When you think about businesses growing their sales beyond forecasts like Mattel, sure, you think of a product with demand, a focused brand, and influence-driven marketing, but an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business that make selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And with the not so secret with Shop Pay, you boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are strolling or scrolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Mattel uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/WGMI, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/WGMI to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/WGMI. Thank you for sponsoring the episode.
I think the most interesting thing that you've shared with me before this was that you guys, when you were like planning up, like you're doing this, like called them semesters. And when you guys were doing marketing and you would push it, you'd like anticipate a new trend for this year.
It wasn't anticipating, and we wouldn't plan for it.
Okay.
But what tended to happen is that because Discord is ultimately a platform to get a bunch of people to talk about something and hang out around something, whether it was a new game expansion that launched, a big game of the year, or some sort of trend happened, whether it's crypto or Pokemon Go or AI or whatever it is, or Midjourney. Every year of Discord's existence, something happened that we could not predict. Nobody could predict. But something would happen that would suddenly cause a lot of people to just create a bunch of Discord servers to do that thing together. I still remember the summer of Pokemon Go, we called it, where we'd suddenly start seeing, like, in every city in the US, we would start seeing tens and hundreds of Discord servers pop up that are all PokeGo servers. All the largest servers on Discord were Pokemon Go. And everybody was using Discord to organize raids together on Pokemon Go. This was 6 years ago, or something like that. Like, it was a while. But it was a really cool behavior. We could have never predicted it. Like, the game was a hit. The game had this unique mechanic where you had to get together in person in your local neighborhood to do a raid together. And you had to go spot where the Pokemon are, so you have to coordinate with people. That is something Discord is uniquely suited for. You can create a server for your neighborhood, and you can post whenever you see something on your Pokemon Go, being like, hey, this rare Pokemon is over there, let's all hang out, let's go raid. And so the best that we could do when we're building a platform that ultimately grew because of these trends is to make sure that, like, we built all these primitives that I was talking about earlier, such that it was easy for anybody who's familiar with Discord to be able to use Discord for this new behavior. So that invites were super smooth, so that we could have, we built a feature where you can just open up the app and see who's nearby. And if they both have Discord open, you can just add each other as a friend right there. That helped actually a lot of Pokemon Go users, right? Because you would just walk up on the street, open up Discord, and hey, we're all on the same app, right? So we would build these generic features, and that worked over, like, it's now built into iOS where you can bump people, but ours worked over, like, the audio jack actually in Bluetooth. But we basically built out all this functionality such that when such a thing happened, which we couldn't predict, Discord was ready to handle it, and we wouldn't have to scramble and try to figure out what do we need to build for what here.
Interesting. So like every year there was like a trend, and in each trend there was like these slight nuances that would then, but these nuances would actually map out to a primitive feature that could apply broadly. And so for Pokemon Go, it was actually it geographically mattered where you were. And so it's like, oh, nearby, this makes sense. People who are close to each other want to be friends and do stuff together.
And sometimes, and sometimes the feature that ended up being the thing that enabled the behavior was something we built years and years ago. Midjourney is a great example. Midjourney was just an image generator bot. All it used was slash commands and bots. Obviously, they built a phenomenal model, and they built a whole system of, like, you know, taking photos that people generated or pictures that people generated and feeding them back into their model and make it better. They did that, and it's a fantastic product. But ultimately, the Discord functionality that Midjourney was using existed for 8 years before Midjourney was a thing.
I mean, how crazy is that the Midjourney decided to fulfill through Discord? Like, was that, like, surprising to you guys? Like, to me, when I saw that, because that was like, Midjourney was a huge trend. And it's kind of it felt like just a really bizarre way to, like, like, fulfill your own SaaS, just to do a Discord server. But it was also super intuitive for, like, Discord users. So I'm very curious, what was that like, seeing that? Are we surprised by that, or was that, like, 8 years late?
We had seen similar behaviors on the platform to Midjourney, where people would create a bot and, like, use the bot to basically collaboratively have a fun time, collaboratively, basically be creative together. Those bots existed before Midjourney. I think Midjourney really nailed the loop of that bot really early on, to where you would generate an image, it would, inside the Midjourney server, it would take some time to generate, it would ping you back to go check out what you've generated. You can select one, and you had emoji reactions to go take the next action. Maybe like you regenerate something, or you loved something and made your big version of it. And your friends could use those same reactions to do those same actions. And so it was very easy for people to just go take the Midjourney bot and install it in their friend's server and just start riffing on each other's stuff and having a lot of fun. And so we had seen that behavior in other bots, not nearly as polished as Midjourney, not nearly as cool as what the Midjourney generated. But when we saw it, we basically saw the server popping off. And we got in touch with them, and they actually really wanted us to just like uncap their server and support, you know, at the time our hard cap for all servers was 1 million members. They kept hitting that cap for a while because it was really addicting what people were doing, and people couldn't get into Midjourney early on. The problem was Discord was never built to have more than even that many people talking to each other at the same time. Like, imagine 1 million people in a single place talking. It's cacophony. And it's a really hard infrastructure problem. And so we actually worked with the Midjourney team together. Our infrastructure team and their team worked together to basically make it possible for Discord to even support more than 1 million people inside a server that still works, that still is performant, that still can be used. That was a whole infrastructure project, and the infrastructure team spent a lot of time getting that right. But nowadays, there's like Midjourney is like a 15 million, 17 million member server. A number of other larger servers have since popped up, and like it's now possible. It's cool. We would have never done it if not for Midjourney.
So you guys saw how how much traffic was going there, and just reached out and started working together basically to help them, support them.
I don't remember who reached out to whom, to be honest with you, but we started working with them pretty early on.
It's just so bizarre, like not bizarre in a bad way, but just like you would think that a company like that with that model would just make their own UI, very simple, go on their website, type in the prompt to get the image. But instead they're doing it. Yes,
they did that.
But
But
they're
that
doing
was
it.
not the behavior that was fun.
I know, exactly. It's like instead they just put it in a Discord server and then made it a bot that you can include into your server. So it's like they make it a product for you to offer to your community.
Yeah.
And they had the distribution.
The fun thing about Midjourney, early Midjourney, nowadays it's fairly ubiquitous. Many bots have copied it. The fun thing is watching how other people used it, copying that prompt, trying it out, getting something similar, but your own flavor of it. It's kind of like this community learning. It's learning through osmosis. And doing that and then transporting that for the more engaged users to their friends' server, where it's you and your friends doing that together and riffing off each other, was the kind of like level 1 and level 2 of the really fun loop that worked. And that's something that we heard from a lot of our users. Like, that was the thing that made Midjourney magical on Discord. And also why just having a UI isn't nearly as magical, because like you don't see people doing it. It's not active. It's not like a busy cafe where people are drawing. The Midjourney server is literally like the modern version of like a cafe in Paris where a bunch of artists are drawing things together.
And so the same thing with like the bots and like bot libraries, like people being able to buy Discord bots and implement them into their server.
Sure.
Was that something that you guys like encouraged, like a developer portal, or like how did that all come to be? 'Cause that seems like a very
That's
novel thing.
a great story. So early on, we've always, our product and our infrastructure has always been built on very strong principles. And one of our principles was to have a very robust API. Early on, we exposed that API so somebody else could build something on top of it, but we didn't advertise it. We didn't have any developer documentation, whatever. We just exposed it. People just started randomly hacking around it, created the Discord server called DDevs, Discord developers, and there's a couple others. Different like libraries sprung up around like, oh, we can hack around a Discord API and just build our own things that hook into it. And we spent some time making sure that it still worked and it's compatible, but we didn't spend much time encouraging that for ages. It's funny enough, actually, the person that created the Discord developer server actually joined my team later on as one of our earliest engineers. She's fantastic, and we later on realized that like we at Discord would never be able to build all the cool stuff the community would need, nor should we, because the bot ecosystem can create so much breadth of functionality that a small team like Discord, and back then when we exposed our first API, we were like smaller than like 20 people. Like it was a small team. We would never be able to build all the cool bots people built. And we didn't have to because we had a community to do it. And that's actually the cool thing about Discord. Like you can just self-organize around Discord servers to go build these libraries, to go build these bots. It took us, I think, 3 or 4 years after we made it possible to create bots on Discord to actually spend time to solidify all of our documentation, make sure that like all the libraries are actually good and worked well. We took ownership of some libraries. We helped other library developers really organize themselves and keep it up to date. And we called it the Bot City team for a while. But ultimately, like the goal of that is just to allow people to build functionality and do things that the company should never do.
What were some of the most unique bots that you saw that you would have never came up with to build yourself?
Well, early on, listening to music in a voice channel was a huge behavior. Mm-hmm. It's not. It sounds obvious now, but like when we first saw people doing it and just like spending hours and hours just jamming together in a voice channel while hanging out at home, that was cool. That looked really fucking awesome. Mm-hmm. That behavior, even though these bots, a lot of them ran into trouble with the rights holders, etc., and YouTube. Nowadays, it's an activity, actually. Mm-hmm. Rhythm releases an activity. There's another, I think YouTube is an activity, so you can actually do that quite legally, and people do it a lot. Another one that early on comes to mind, someone set up a couple of bots that are effectively like not pre-LLM chatbots that will be talking to each other all the time. And you can join the Discord and watch what the hell they're talking about at the moment. And it was hilarious. Like early Discord, we would just like randomly pop in there and be like, hey, look, they're talking about this some random thing. And it's a constant stream of conversation.
Can someone please invent a crystal ball? Until then, over 40,000 businesses have already future-proofed their business with NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud ERP, bringing financial management, accounting, inventory, HR into one fluid platform. With one unified business management suite, there's one source of truth, giving you the visibility and control you need to make quick decisions. With real-time insights and forecasting, you're peering into the future with actionable data. When you're closing the books in days, not weeks, you're spending less time looking backwards and more time on what's next. If I had needed this product, it's what I'd use. Whether your company's earning millions or even hundreds of millions, NetSuite helps you respond to immediate challenges and seize your biggest opportunities. Speaking of opportunity, download the CFO's Guide to AI and Machine Learning at netsuite.com/WGMI. This guide is free to you at netsuite.com/WGMI.
Have you guys like considered AI agents in any way? I'm sure you guys are deep into LLM world.
We actually built an AI bot. We built Clyde. We launched Clyde.
Clyde's the man.
Yes. Funny enough, we didn't choose to keep Clyde. And the interesting thing is like, yes, so Clyde, for context, was a built-in bot inside Discord. It was built into Discord. It would work anywhere. And we were testing it for a long time where you and your friends could basically have an AI bot to chat with. Mm-hmm. In multiplayer. So imagine ChatGPT, but all your friends can chime in. Mm-hmm. And we worked with OpenAI on that. It was
really?
Yeah, it was a collaboration.
I did not know that. Wow.
And because back then, like OpenAI didn't even support a lot of things that we needed to make it work. And so interestingly, we found that like Clyde was hilarious for creating really funny memes with your friends, but it became stale pretty quickly, and it actually became kind of cringe after a couple of weeks. If the same Discord server with your friends kept using Clyde, it kind of just became stale and cringe over time. And we could never figure out how to make it feel so natural that it felt like part of your space, part of your friend's space. And we saw that when we were testing Clyde. Like we saw a lot of servers kind of having a lot of fun initially. It was really fun for a couple of days, a week or something like that. And then it dropped off and people actually spent less time hanging out with their friends because Clyde was in their server. And so that's why we decided to shut down Clyde, because it kind of took away from the human connection that Discord was so good at.
It's like a party trick, more so. Huh. Have you guys thought about or how do you, I mean, maybe not even specific, this is like a very hot topic right now, AI agents. I just feel like Discord or WAP even is like primed to like somehow like AI agents managing communities or something, or being admins or mods. Like, I think the human connection is important, but like, I feel like if there's one of the earliest use cases could be in a community platform like that. Have you ever thought about that?
We have. We prototyped a AI moderator. It worked quite well. Basically, the prototype we built internally was a set of you can basically take your server. Your server has rules for most community servers. That moderator can take those rules and look at conversations that are happening and flag, hey, here's a conversation that's happening that's violating the rules. And then your moderators can review it, or if they really trust the AI, they can just like automatically clean it up and delete that conversation, ban the user, whatever. Back when we prototyped it, this was pre-GPT-4, so it was very expensive. 2, it didn't run quite well enough, even in the prototype, that we felt comfortable building it out as something that truly works well. Going back to my point earlier about like Discord's really good at making few things really, really good. We couldn't find a way to make it really, really good. And so we chose not to pursue it at the time because of both cost and we couldn't make it really, really good. I'm not convinced that even with today's models, it's a couple generations of GPT later, you could make it as good as it needed to be in order for it to really feel magical. And I think that's the general trend I see within agents, where the broader the use case, like interpreting a bunch of rules is a pretty broad use case. Like one of my servers has rule of like, we don't talk about cats. Like, good luck somebody posting something about cats, and like that mod bot would just totally kill it, right? Not a very good kind of like general purpose agent. And so I think like the notion of like, here's an agent that does any sort of thing for me is actually some time away. I'm sure it will happen. I'm sure the personal assistant, the AI kind of like personal assistant will eventually exist. I don't think the technology is quite there yet to make it so good that somebody would just trust them straight up. What I do think works, and something that we did both internally and you see it out in the wild nowadays, is for very specific narrow use cases, take something that is very rote and repeatable and turn that into an AI thing that requires nuanced reasoning, but doesn't require a lot of breadth. That works. So early on, we built out a system that would automatically respond to Discord support tickets. That was actually an LLM responding. We tested it on a number of tickets. Actually, our users loved the responses from the AI better, because the AI was able to look up shit that our own team wasn't able to look up. It's like, hey, why does this particular version of a Razer laptop not work with this particular version of a SteelSeries headset? Like, the AI was able to look that up. I couldn't look that up. Nobody on our team could look that up. It was like some super random thing that somebody ran into, because how many people use a particular SteelSeries headset with a particular Razer laptop? But that was something that was so cool, because that person couldn't get it to work, wrote into Discord support. The AI found the right solution for them, helped them make it happen, and suddenly it worked for them. Like, that is the kind of stuff that you use AI agents for. Cursor is another good example where it doesn't do things for you. It helps you, if you know what you're doing, do things better, faster.
Gotcha.
So those things I think AI agents are great for. The more generic version, I don't think we're there yet.
Interesting. Another thing that I'm interested in is like paid Discord communities, paid servers. I really feel like, one, did you guys have, I feel like you kind of just released that ability, like a year, or is that pretty old?
That's been around for a few years.
Is it from Discord natively?
It's from Discord natively. We called it our creator monetization platform. And we released it, and I think it was released in 2022. It was somewhat successful. We had quite a few large communities that became paid communities that, they actually like sold. Most communities will have like some sort of welcome channel that is not paid, and then the rest is paid. So that product is actually really cool because it's fully native to Discord. It's built in. You have a lot of customization. You can do things like multiple tiers, multiple trials. Like you have a storefront page that is like really pretty and stuff like that. The thing we found is that in order to turn that into a full product that is a full business that's just like end-to-end tool for creators, it would take a lot of other things that we would have to build in order to make that really useful. For example, something that WAP does out of the box, right? Like the internal dashboarding, a lot of the tooling, a lot of the apps that you guys have, like those things we felt like we would have to build a lot there in order to get to something that creators really needed and wanted. And ultimately, we didn't continue pursuing that particular product, in part because we felt that within the world of Discord, which is heavily skewed towards gaming,
Gamers, yeah.
The type of creators that needed this was actually a pretty small number. There's lots of creators that weren't gaming that totally could use it, took advantage of it, and needed it. But that wasn't what Discord was built for. And it was a bit of a mismatch to like kind of jury-rig this thing for communities that weren't using Discord the way it's meant to be used. And so we decided not to pursue it because it wasn't going to scale for us.
The way it's meant to be used. So you're so focused on gamers and gaming and their problem that these like paid crypto or trading groups weren't too much of a priority.
Yeah. Actually, crypto was, I don't think this is controversial, was a bit of a headache for us in terms of spam.
Yeah, the bots, the whitelist stuff.
All of the above.
Yeah.
It was painful, and it was painful in many ways because these crypto communities led normal users to behave like spammers. And so we frequently ran into this problem where like we would have a normal user who played games with their friends on Discord, but also spammed all their friends with the latest crypto thing.
Yes,
and
I see.
They would get flagged by our spam rules because they were spamming. But they also had a dozen gaming servers and they were super high engaged users. What do you do?
That's hard.
Yeah.
Because these communities would like incentivize people. Like if you want to get whitelisted for our token drop, you have to engage in our community. So people will just sit there and just spam because they needed to rank up their level.
That's right.
That's very
right.
I always wondered why, because WAP, when I first heard of WAP 2.5 years ago, that was basically what they were. They were like Discord bots to get paid Discords, basically. And they just had a marketplace of all the paid Discords. I was like, why is Discord not doing this?
We did.
But it just makes sense that you guys didn't have the payments or the dashboard, all the backend infrastructure.
The backend infrastructure, we had some of it, but we didn't have the kind of like the depth of that tooling to make it really like a 10x tool for creators. And the reality of it is that what most of these communities use Discord for was just the community aspect. They didn't need all the other stuff that WAP came with or comes with nowadays. And also, Discord wasn't the place you go to find these kinds of things. It kind of happened there, but like the way that these creators got their audience was off platform. They would do it on TikTok, they would do it on Instagram, they would do it on Facebook, whatever platform, or YouTube especially, like whatever platform these creators hung out on and got their audience at, like it wasn't happening on Discord, and we weren't going to build an entire Discover page full of like, here's all the paid Discords. Like this is a gaming tool for you and your friends to hang out. Like why is Discord promoting you these paid Discords?
It is an honor to be able to like learn from you and like get to talk to you like this. I really appreciate you being here. You're the man. You built one of my favorite products in the world, and I really appreciate you.
I don't take credit for it for what it's worth. I was on the team that did it, but it took a village.
Awesome. Well, you're an absolute gangster. You built an amazing product, and I appreciate you. Now you're at WAP. It's very fun to have you as an advisor, and I appreciate everything, my man. Thank you.
It's been a
Thanks for
pleasure.
coming on. Awesome.